Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. So I've been getting a lot of requests to do a video about Xiao Zhan, and I think it's tough to do a video about Xiao Zhan without mentioning everything that's happened to his career in the last 6 months. So in this video, I'm going to talk about Xiao Zhan's rise in popularity and then everything that's happened surrounding Xiao Zhan since the end of February. If you've seen some of my other videos, then you'll know that I'm a huge fan of the Untamed. I didn't know who Xiao Zhan was before the Untamed, but I did love his portrayal of Wei Wuxian in the drama, and in the months after the drama aired, his popularity skyrocketed. In this video, I'll be talking about Xiao Zhan's rise to fame and then his sudden disappearance from the Chinese entertainment industry since the end of February. I'll be going over what Xiao Zhan did before the Untamed, and I'll also cover the AO3 incident, or what's now come to be known as the 227 Coalition. This is my rise and fall of Xiao Zhan video part 1. In part 2, I'll be talking about all of the events that have happened after the incident and why it's taken Xiao Zhan so long to move past the incident and relaunch his career. So please be on the lookout for that one as well. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel. I make one video a week and I generally upload either on Saturday or on Sunday. Xiao Zhan took his first steps in the entertainment industry in 2015 when he entered a TV variety show called 燃烧吧少年. At this point, he was already 24 years old. He'd already graduated from college and was working as a graphics designer. From what I've been able to piece together from online posts, his classmates from back in high school described him as a very gentle and caring person. Apparently, he was already really good looking back in high school, but he was more low-key and wasn't known as the Xiao Cao or anything like that. That term means school grass, and it refers to the hottest guy in the school. He went to a university in Chongqing and studied visual arts. People knew him in college say that he was very involved in various singing clubs and singing competitions, and that he was very gentlemanly-like and was very helpful. And that even though, because of his good looks and his singing, he was already quite famous around campus, he wasn't known around campus as someone with a lot of girlfriends or a player or anything like that. After Xiao Zhan graduated from college, he went and worked at a graphics design studio for about 2 years. It wasn't until then that he decided that he didn't want to give up on his dream of becoming a singer and entered himself into the variety show 燃烧吧少年. This was another one of those idol selection shows, and at the end of the show, Xiao Zhan was selected to debut as part of a 9-member boy band called XU 少年团. Xiao Zhan was one of the lead singers of XU 少年团, and in my opinion, probably the best looking. Homegrown Chinese boy bands don't tend to do very well in China, with the sole exception, of course, of TF Boys. As I already mentioned in my Wang Yibo video, the Chinese infrastructure for idol training is not nearly up to the standard in South Korea, so for Chinese fans in 2016, it's not really surprising when they were used to seeing the likes of BTS or EXO that they weren't that impressed with Xiao Zhan's band. I think XU 少年团 did release a couple of albums between 2016 and 2018, and they did appear on a few variety shows, but they didn't really get very far. As an interesting aside, XU 少年团 did actually appear on 天天向上 in 2017, and that's where Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo first met. If you want to check out that episode, then I've linked it down below. Xiao Zhan started acting in dramas in 2016. His first drama was something called Superstar Academy, which was a low-budget web drama that got pretty bad reviews. Back then, Xiao Zhan was a little chubbier in the face and didn't look nearly as good as he does now. Between 2016 and 2018, he did have a few small roles in other dramas, but the one that stood out was his role in Oh My Emperor. Now, I actually haven't seen Oh My Emperor, so I can't talk about it too much, but I do know that it was fairly popular, it was a comedy, and that Xiao Zhan got a lot of attention for his good looks. He also had a relatively smaller role in Joy of Life, 庆余年, which aired at the end of 2019 and was one of the most popular and highly rated dramas in China for that year. But of course, as we all know, it was the Untamed that catapulted Xiao Zhan to superstardom. The Untamed was a faithful adaptation of a BL novel that had a huge following. If you haven't watched my videos about the Untamed yet, then please check them out. One of the reasons why the Untamed was so popular is because the main leads, Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo, did such a fantastic job bringing their characters Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji to life. Xiao Zhan in particular stole the hearts of millions of young girls with his portrayal of the playful and tragic Wei Wuxian. After The Untamed finished airing, Xiao Zhan became the hottest new idol. His Weibo followers doubled during the airing of The Untamed. and he amassed for himself a new army of fervent young female fans. For the rest of 2019, Xiao Zhan was busy filming for his new drama with Yang Zi, The Oath of Love, 余生请多指教, and also appearing on variety shows. When I was in China for Lunar New Year back in January 2020, it felt like Xiao Zhan was on TV every single day. He appeared in every single one of the Chinese New Year's galas that the various TV stations were putting on, and he also appeared in quite a few different variety shows. He also appeared on the Chinese CCTV New Year's Gala, which is a huge deal because this is a gala that's put on by the Chinese state-run national TV station. It's the most watched TV program in China, and over 1 billion Chinese audiences tune in to watch it. For many Chinese families, Lunar New Year's Eve involves eating dumplings with the family and then settling down to watch the gala and counting down to the new year. If you appear in this New Year's Gala, then it means two things. Number one, it means that you're on the good side of the Chinese government. And number two, it means that you've definitely made it. So Xiao Zhan rode this wave of popularity all the way until the end of February, when something called the 227 Coalition brought his career to a standstill. As you may have guessed, this is the turning point in my video where I'm going to start talking about when things started going downhill. So at the outset, I just wanted to say that it's actually really hard to keep track of everything that's happened to Xiao Zhan over the past few months. Everything that's happened has occurred on various Chinese social media platforms. And to keep track of everything that's happened, you pretty much need to be on all of the Chinese platforms, Weibo, Oasis, Chaohua, like 24/7, to keep track of what one group is saying versus what another group is saying. So I'm going to go ahead and admit that I could not and cannot keep track of everything that's happened. I'm going to try and tell you what I think happened and my understanding of the events, and I will try to keep what I say limited to the facts, or at least, what the various factions have agreed are the facts. But I totally might get something wrong, and I may miss out on a key fact or a key event. Please try to be understanding of this, and please go easy on me if I get something wrong. I also wanted to establish the meaning of a term that I'll be using a lot, which is Xiao Zhan fans. So when I say Xiao Zhan fans, I don't mean everyday fans like maybe like me, who liked Xiao Zhan and the Untamed, who supports him generally, and who's looking forward to more of his works. When I say Xiao Zhan fans, I mean his militant fans, the ones that are on Chinese social media, every day posting many posts about Xiao Zhan, often from several different accounts. The ones that buy every single product that Xiao Zhan sponsors and often buys many copies of whatever he's selling so as to increase sales for Xiao Zhan. It's just too cumbersome to say militant fans the entire time, so I'm going to call this group of people Xiao Zhan fans while acknowledging that not every single fan is like this. Alright, here we go. So it all started with a piece of fan fiction featuring Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo that was posted to Archives of Our Own, AO3, one of the biggest online platforms for fan fiction. The story is called 下坠, or Falling, and the premise of the story is that Wang Yibo is a high schooler who moves to a new city for high school and moves to live with his aunt. His aunt is a prostitute and lives in the shady area of town, and she puts him up to stay in the same room as Xiao Zhan. In the story, Xiao Zhan has gender dysphoria and dresses and acts like a woman. Eventually, the relationship between Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo in the story becomes physical. Now, I've only really skimmed the first few chapters of this story, so this is basically all I know. But if you're interested and you can read Chinese, then this story is actually still available on AO3 online. The story even included an illustration of Xiao Zhan dressed up as a woman. For anyone who's not really familiar with how fanfiction works, I just wanted to make it super clear that in this story, it was actually a story about Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo themselves. It wasn't untamed fanfiction where it was fanfiction about their characters. The author of this story was posting links to her story on Weibo, and the story was getting a lot of views, more than 700,000. Even before this story entered the picture, there was already tension within the Xiao Zhan fan base between those who considered themselves the CP fans. These are the fans that liked the idea of Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo as a couple and either believed that they were in a secret relationship or wanted them to be in a relationship. So there was the CP fans, and then there were the fans that liked Xiao Zhan as an individual. These fans didn't believe that Xiao Zhan was gay and didn't really think that Xiao Zhan should be tied to Wang Yibo all the time. This latter group, which I'll call the Xiao Zhan only fans for lack of a better term, they were very offended by the story's portrayal of Xiao Zhan as someone with gender dysphoria, and also very offended by the picture of Xiao Zhan in the story. These Xiao Zhan fans started reporting to the admins of AO3, saying that this story defamed Xiao Zhan and should be taken down. Within a couple of days, the story was no longer accessible from the AO3 website. When Xiao Zhan fans saw that their actions were successful, they decided to take things one step further. Now, this probably won't surprise you, but after the Untamed, there was quite a lot of fan fiction out there about Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo. So Xiao Zhan fans decided to take action against all fan fiction involving Xiao Zhan that painted Xiao Zhan in a light that they didn't like. They started a massive campaign to take down AO3. Their strategy was to report to the relevant Chinese governmental authorities that AO3 contained pornographic content. The Xiao Zhan fan that led the charge in this movement, I'll refer to this person as Rabbit, she posted detailed instructions on Weibo about how to report to the authorities, telling people exactly what to say, the keywords to use, and urging all Xiao Zhan fans to follow suit. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, pornographic content is officially illegal in China. Lots of people in China still find ways to watch porn, but the official government position is that it's illegal. Pornographic content is blocked by the Great Chinese Firewall, along with all the other websites that the Chinese government deems to be inappropriate, including YouTube, Facebook, New York Times, pretty much every website that we would use on a daily basis. But before the events that I'm describing, AO3 was accessible in China. And a large community of Chinese netizens either posted original content on AO3 or used AO3 to enjoy their favorite fan fiction. So as part of their stance against fan fiction involving Xiao Zhan fans also took to trying to take down Laughter, which is a Chinese fan fiction platform. And as a direct result of all these actions, Laughter deleted a massive amount of fan fiction on its platform, and AO3 became inaccessible in China as of February 29th. Most netizens interpreted the disappearance of AO3 as a sign that the Chinese government had taken action to block AO3 using the firewall. Now, the blocking of AO3 and the deletion of content on Laughter elevated a conflict that had up until now only been between two factions of the Xiao Zhan fan base, the CP fans and the Xiao Zhan only fans. These actions successfully angered the following groups of people. People who compose fanfiction either on AO3 or on Laughter, and people who enjoy reading fanfiction on any of these platforms. For a lot of people, the disappearance of these platforms represented the disappearance of a safe space online, a community that they spent all of their time in. What's more, the fan fiction community tended to overlap very heavily with other online communities, such as the e-gaming, animation, and manga communities. So this group of people, which from now on I'll refer to as the 227 Coalition, banded together at the end of February to start a war against Xiao Zhan fans. This involved a lot of arguments between the two sides, with the 227 Coalition accusing Xiao Zhan fans of curtailing creative freedom, and the Xiao Zhan fans accusing the other side of basically indulging in internet pornography. What's more, the 227 Coalition also started boycotting Xiao Zhan as a way to get back at Xiao Zhan fans. What they did was that they tried to dig up dirt from Xiao Zhan's past, and they also boycotted any products that Xiao Zhan was endorsing. The way they did this was that they would go to the Weibo account of a brand that has Xiao Zhan as the brand ambassador, and they would make a massive amount of comments, all basically saying that they would no longer buy this product if Xiao Zhan continued to be the product representative. Soon after these events, quite a few brands, including Olay, switched ambassadors from Xiao Zhan to other celebrities. Like Rabbit on the Xiao Zhan side, the leaders of the 227 Coalition posted detailed instructions on how to boycott all of the various brands that Xiao Zhan was affiliated with. The 227 Coalition also started giving 1-star ratings to every single drama that Xiao Zhan was involved in. So for example, over the course of one day, the Douban rating for Chen Qingling, The Untamed, dropped from something like 8.3 to 7.9. Douban is the most prominent and the most authoritative movie and drama rating website in China. The rating of Qing Yunian, Joy of Life, also dropped, even though Xiao Zhan was barely in that drama. When Xiao Zhan Studios saw that things were getting out of hand, they posted a statement on March the 1st. They said that they've noticed some recent commotion involving Xiao Zhan's fans, they apologized for using up public resources, and they urged fans to be rational in their actions, and they urged people to display positive energy during a time when the nation was fighting against the COVID pandemic. Around the same time, Rabbit was officially banished from the Xiao Zhan fan base, and she posted an apology on Weibo as well, which came off as insincere because when she posted that apology, her profile picture was a picture that said, "I did nothing wrong." Unfortunately, these efforts at apologizing were seen as hollow and weak and didn't really do anything to appease the people that were pissed off. As it turns out, the events that I've just described at the end of February and the start of March were only the beginning of the saga. It's now the end of August and Xiao Zhan is not out of the woods. He's made very few public appearances since March and hasn't appeared in any variety shows. None of the dramas that he had previously filmed, including 斗罗 Continent, The Wolf, or The Oath of Love, none of them have aired. So it certainly seems like for the past 5 months, the Chinese entertainment industry has completely abandoned Xiao Zhan. In part 2 of this video, I'll be going over the aftermath of the AO3 incident and going over in detail everything that's happened since the beginning of March. I'll also be giving my views on why the situation has gotten so out of hand and why it's taking Xiao Zhan so long to get over this and relaunch his career. So that's it for today, guys. If you're a fan of Xiao Zhan and you've been wondering what's happened to him since the beginning of the year, then I hope you found this helpful and informative and hopefully not too painful to watch. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.